Welcome to the Monday Motivation Spotlight, your podcast every week a different spotlight, every week a different inspiring story. I'm Lesley Kaplan, welcoming you here, together with our sponsors and our co-hosts, Egan & Cohn Insurance, which we thank every week, as well as Lali's Flower Boutique in Jerusalem. So I'm delighted to have you here today with a guest that I have not actually met personally, but it sounds just like a super inspiring story. And I will just share with you before I introduce my guest. This week has been actually a very inspiring week for us and a particular moving week for me personally, where we just celebrated the 90th birthday of my father on Friday and at Shabbat. And we had family coming together from all different continents for the first time ever. So besides that, in addition to the ongoing challenges that Israel faces and the elements that were involved in nonstop, it's been a challenging but a very inspiring and actually a very moving week. So that being said, I'm going to spotlight instead of me. I'm going to spotlight our speaker of the day, and I'll tell you a little bit about who she is and what she does. So I'm going to replace you. Naomi, good morning and welcome. And thank you for being with us today on the Monday Motivation Spotlight and to share your story with us. So who is Naomi Lerman? She is a certified trauma-informed coach and the founder of Victory Dance Mindset Coaching. That sounds super interesting. I look forward to hearing a little bit about that. And she helps women, especially moms and moms-to-be, who have experienced sexual trauma, heal joyfully without reliving the past. Okay, that sounds very, very important. So Naomi hails from Vancouver, Canada. She made Aliyah in 2010. She lives in Beit Shemesh, and she's here to inspire us and to share her passion with us. So Naomi, take it away. Please share your story with us. Tell us a little bit about growing up in Vancouver as a Jew, making Aliyah, your experiences, and what led you to do what you do today.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me here, Lesley. I'm just really grateful to be on here. You've had so many incredible guests, so I am truly honored to be here. And also, Mazel Tov and happy birthday for your father. And it's not easy to get people from all continents to Israel in this time, so I imagine it was quite a difficult but yet inspiring birthday for your father. I also should mention, I don't know why I wrote 2010. I actually made Aliyah in 2015, but I
Aha,
will go back and
okay.
start my story. That's funny. I must have been a little tired when I filled that out. Okay, so I am originally from Vancouver, Canada. I grew up in a conservative Jewish family. We were extremely connected to Judaism in a cultural way, and there was a very strong Zionistic piece to growing up. Both my parents are highly involved in advocacy and fundraising in Canada for Israel. But really, my younger years and growing up, I really rejected the idea of Judaism that I was taught, that I understood. I thought it was just a bunch of rules and somebody somewhere was telling me what to do, and like basically, how dare they? Like, I'm not interested in this type of Judaism. I was deeply spiritual, and I sort of throughout my life was searching for that connection that I felt was missing in Judaism, which I didn't realize I could find in Judaism at the time, but I felt like it was missing, and so I was searching in other religions and other cultures for that. Growing up, I experienced a lot of bullying, and I had some difficulties. I was always a little different. I'm a performer. I started singing professionally from the age of like 5 or 6, and I was in pop bands, and I toured the country and in rock bands, and I was a dancer and a singer, and I actually was also a national level synchronized swimmer, which is in the sport. There's different levels. There's I think local, provincial, national, and then Olympic level, international. So I competed on the national level, and I had this like really interesting life going on. But on the other side, just these struggles with mental health from bullying and being different and not really feeling like I fit in very well. In my later high school years, I was in a relationship, a romantic relationship that became abusive, and it was like the highs and the lows, the most extremes highs and lows, all going on throughout my younger years. I was in the 12th grade, and I received a grant from the Canadian government for my songwriting. I had done, it's called an EP, like a short play 5-song album. And we applied for a grant, and I received a factor grant from the government to write more music and make more albums. That check went to my manager, who then disappeared with all that government funding and my future dream of being a rock star, basically. My trust and my hope for the music business. It's funny, I had trust and hope for the music business. I don't know what I was thinking. But it sort of flew out. I was 17 years old and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So I shut down the band. I walked away from the band, and my mother had always talked about how she lived on a kibbutz at one point in her life. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go halfway around the world to experience something totally different, to step outside of my life now, because it was just, I was in such a state of shock. And I did that. I did a kibbutz work study ulpan, and it was okay, but I realized very quickly that I was quite emotionally immature, and Israelis are much tougher than Canadians, and it was hard for me. It was hard being away from my family. I was a young woman, and I'd already experienced a lot in my life, but it was very different than what those in Israel had experienced, were experiencing. So about 3 months into the ulpan, I decided to volunteer at a pnimia, Hadassim. I don't know if anyone on here knows Hadassim, but it's a youth village for people, for kids that are taken away from their families by social workers. There's also kids that come in advance with their parents from France. And I went there to help them, to inspire them to want to learn English, and to be around them and to improve my Hebrew, because there's no better way to improve Hebrew than talking to kids, because I don't know, my Hebrew was basically at their level. And so it was interesting and it was enjoyable, but again, very, very difficult. And I couldn't handle it emotionally, being away from my family. So I went back to Canada and I decided to go ahead and start university. And then the following summer, I wanted to do an ulpan at Hebrew U, something a little leveled up from what I experienced at the kibbutz ulpan. My interest in Hebrew was purely cultural. I thought likely it would be my language, my second language at university. And I thought, why not improve it? As I had said, I had always had an interest in religion and culture, just not the strictures that I imagined Judaism to be. So I came that summer, and as I said, I was a national level synchronized swimmer. So I had had some back issues or whatever from when I was a swimmer. And while I was here, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to this massage therapist, this reflexologist, who apparently was a lot of people went to, and he did magic, and he was like such a good person if you had these issues. And I went, and unfortunately, I experienced sexual trauma in that appointment. And it turns out he had hurt hundreds of women. I'm not exactly sure the number. They had sent in undercover female police officers to try and catch him. And unfortunately for me and for him, I was the worst case. For him, because I went straight to the police, and I went to court, and he went to jail. And it was an extremely difficult and traumatizing experience. And I left Israel thinking, I don't know if I'll ever go back. I don't know who I am really anymore. I don't know what this country is. I just sort of never had such a great connection with it in my experience here. Let's fast forward a couple years. I met my husband at university, and I flipped around. I went to theater school, and then I went to opera school, and then I went back to the original university I was at, all the while trying to deal with the trauma, seeing therapists, psychiatrists. I was put on 10 plus medications, and just sort of living this life on the outside that looked so great to everyone else. And inside, I was suffering. I was literally like in my own personal Gehenna, but no one really knew. So I met my husband, and we were both secular at the time, but I had gone on this journey realizing that there was a part of Judaism that I didn't know, that I hadn't been aware of, this spiritual element, this connection to God, this meaningfulness that I didn't understand had existed. And I had ebbed and flowed between taking stuff on and then not. My family was not so interested in my becoming more religious. It was a little bit of a difficult period, and I had some friction with my mom and arguments. And it's really hard when you're becoming religious, because people ask you questions, but I don't know the answer. Like, I'm searching also, but then I had this urge to answer her, to try and stand up for myself, but it just caused friction because I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. So it was tough. And so I ebbed and flowed, becoming religious, not religious. And when I met my husband, he was on a very similar journey, and he had not grown up. It was very, he called it lox and bagel Judaism, like very cultural. They got together for Rosh Hashanah and Pesach. He'd never seen a sukkah in his life, never really experienced anything more. He couldn't find Israel on a map, basically. And so we started dating and we realized we had this in common. And slowly, we built together and we had each other to rely on. And we started keeping Shabbos and we started keeping kashrus and we moved along. And by the time we got married in 2012, we were both religious. And we got married and my husband was very headstrong on making Aliyah. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I need my family. I have my psychiatrist. I need my mental health network. Like it's never happening. My experience with Israel is not, I'm not ready. And he basically gave up at a certain point and realized it was a no-go. And then one Shabbos in summer of 2014, when the 3 boys were kidnapped and Israel went into war, it was a Shabbos and I was lying on the couch and I always napped on Shabbos. Like I was on so much medication. Of course I was always napping. And I could not sleep. And I was lying on the couch and my husband was napping. And all of a sudden it felt like a bolt of lightning. It felt like a download that was like, you must make Aliyah. I know to a lot of people, maybe that sounds crazy. Maybe you're someone that's experienced this also. I have interacted with other people that had this experience. But it was just like, I must make Aliyah. Like, that's it. I'm making it tomorrow. That's it. I'm doing this. And so I woke my husband up and he was like, okay, like if you do the paperwork and organize everything, I'm here with my suitcase. Like I'm ready whenever you're ready. So we decided to make Aliyah in December. This was the summer. I think this was July, perhaps. And it took a little longer than expected, not surprisingly. So we ended up making Aliyah in April. Me with my 5 suitcases and his with 1, which he had already had packed for the first years of our marriage. And we basically picked Ramat Beit Shemesh and Beit Shemesh. We looked on the Nefesh B'Nefesh website and we're like, okay, well, we can't really afford Jerusalem. And look at this place that's halfway between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's apparently priced well, which not so much anymore, but it was a good cost of living here. Let's go here. It was like literally like here, Ramat Beit Shemesh. And on our way, a couple of Shabbos, I think it was a few months before April, a family from Ramat Beit Shemesh happened to show up at our little random shul in Vancouver, which was like a Chabad affiliated, but not a place where usually people show up. And we started talking and they're like, if you want help, we'll help. So they looked at a few apartments for us and we just picked one based on the photos and we showed up. And we've lived in Ramat Beit Shemesh ever since. We started in Aleph in the Merkaz. I don't know if people know the geography here, but we started in Aleph. And then after about a year, we connected to Rabbi Shimon Tursky, who lives in Gimel Achad. And when we made Aliyah, my husband had a short beard and short coat. And I had always had this affiliation to the Hasidic way of doing things and the thought process and the way of looking at the world, that God is in everything, even when you tie your shoe, whatever it is. For me, it was like that spiritual element was so deeply ingrained in me. And I saw that in the Hasidic way of life and the way we looked at the world. And so when my husband met Rabbi Twersky, we sort of headed in that direction, a direction that I personally had already sort of been in. And now my kids actually go to a Yiddish cheder in Daled. They learn in Yiddish, they speak Yiddish, Hebrew, and English. We have been here, I guess, 10 years and 6 months in Beit Shemesh. I tried the traditional route. I saw therapists. I went the medication route. I ended up being hospitalized twice in 2 different psychiatric wards. And I was just suffering. And I sort of came to the point where I was like, okay, like everyone's going to think my life is beautiful on the outside. I'm a performer. I'm a singer. Like I get on stage, I'm in front of a microphone and it's like a dream come true. It's like I become my fullest self on a stage, but I'm just going to suffer inside and that's going to be the end of it. And I was able, Baruch Hashem, with the right guidance by psychiatrists and a therapist to get off all the medication because they said I could never get pregnant. Basically, my babies would come out deformed and that would be the end of it. So it was important to me to have kids. And so I was able to get off the medication. It took a while and I did it. And then I got pregnant and I had my kids and still I was suffering. I enjoyed motherhood so deeply and so much in a way that I never imagined. When I got pregnant with my first, I cried like the most tears I've ever cried in my entire life, thinking like, how am I going to be a good mom? Like I can't even parent myself. How can I be a good mom? But I did it. And it's literally like, I feel like I was put on this earth to be a mother and I love being a mother. And I have 3 boys. They're 8, 6, and 2. But I was still suffering through all of this. And I tried alternative things like acupuncture and, all over the map. Then I discovered coaching and it was for physical fitness. I felt I was a bit overweight after my 3rd pregnancy. And I was having trouble dropping it. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll try this and see if it will help me with my food noise and all the other things that I was struggling with. And this coach saw me for the first time. I felt like she saw me for me. And she saw me in a way that I could never see myself. And it sort of unlocked things. And the way she talked to me about mindset and habit, building habits and reminding yourself that you're strong by doing physical things. So you can remember you're mentally strong, all these pieces. And it opened up this idea to me that I always said, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like I'd done so much in my young life. I'm turning 40 in October, yet I still didn't really know. I have a master's in museum studies. I worked in museums, but I never really connected deeply. And I never felt like it was the thing I was meant to do with my life. And in this process of me being coached, I realized I really wanted to help other women. I really wanted to coach people as well. And I hired a business coach, and I was like, I want to do anything but sexual trauma. Like, I want to help women awaken their inner voices, puffy, beautiful language, but like, what the heck was I actually going to help women with? And then I finally, after a bunch of reading and soul searching, I realized this piece of me and the fact that I literally walked through the fire of abuse and sexual trauma. And I've been in psychiatric wards, and I've had all this experience with medication coming off and on and feeling out of control and feeling like I had no choice in my life. And yet here I am in a much more empowered, much more like 2.0 version of myself, dreaming in a way that I could never have imagined before the coaching experience. This is what I want to give to other women in a way that was given to me, but with using my unique skills and my unique experiences. So I decided to get certified as a trauma-informed coach. And I coached a few people, sort of, I guess, beta, to see, does this method work? And basically the method I developed, called the victory dance method, comes from a funny little experience I had with my 2-year-old. He naturally, I guess he saw something, I don't know, of course, but he naturally, when he does something that he was trying to work towards and he achieves it, he goes, yay! And he does this little cute, funny little victory dance. And I was like, that's brilliant. I'm going to start doing that. So when something good happened, I started doing it, literally embodying the joy. Then I transferred it into a tool, a daily tool. So I did it in the morning and the evening to sort of remind my body what joy felt like, what it felt like to have like that full body magic that experience of a victory dance can give you. And then sort of the hardest piece was doing it in the moment when things were really hard, when I was feeling down, when I was feeling disconnected, when I was feeling depressed or whatever it was. I would force myself, I know that's, I don't know if it was a force, but I would encourage myself, I guess, to do this victory dance. So it started with that piece. And then I developed a framework called the victory dance method, where I work through with my clients in mind, body, and soul. So I start with mindset, because if our mind isn't there, it's really hard to do the other pieces of the method. So we start with the mindset, and we listen to the noise in our head. We actually sit and listen to it and try to figure out where those voices are coming from. How can we bring that inner cheerleader out? How can we grow our inner voice to start counteracting all these messages that we've been telling ourselves for so many years, and messages we've heard from other people, etc. And there's so many tools out there, and I get to know my clients really, really well on as deep a level as I can. And then I provide for them the tools that they specifically need in this experience and in this moment in time. Then we move into the body, which it has two focuses. One is really nourishing ourselves in the most encouraging way, in a way where our goal is energy, in a way where our goal is, I want to do this mental health work, so I need to be able to feed my body the nutrients it needs in order to do that. I was someone who drank coffee, ate a bunch of sugar, would hide behind a door and like eat a cake because I was so stressed out and just trying to like dull out the noise. But oh, of course I couldn't do the mental health work because I was filling my body with junk, basically. So we really work on what foods are best for you, what nourishes your body, so that the end goal being energy makes you feel the most energetic, makes you feel the most you, the most authentic version of yourself. And we talk about water and habit building, et cetera, et cetera. We don't throw it all at you. It's like very small increments so that we can teach ourselves we can do hard things. We can put a habit into place and do it. Because a lot of times as sexual trauma survivors, we try to jump in and do all the things, and then we can't do any of them, and we just feel overwhelmed and like the worst person on earth, and that it proves we're just bad people and we can't do anything and we're hopeless. Whereas doing it this way, literally drinking 2 liters a day and tracking it and showing ourselves, wow, I did this. I said I was going to drink 2 liters a day for a week, and look, I did it. So that's that piece. Then we also look at movement. What can help you on the movement side? I love lifting heavy weights, but maybe your thing is, I don't know, sumo wrestling, or maybe your thing is Nia dancing or yoga or like whatever it is. We find what makes you feel the best and where you can move your body and release the trauma. We do some somatic work. It's, again, very unique to the individual. And I bring in as much or little as I think works. And I do research, and I really try to make the program as unique as possible for the specific person that needs the help. The final piece in the third month is the soul. And we really talk about how I work with all types of people, not just Jewish people, people of all cultures and backgrounds. But the key is someone has to feel that there's a higher power, a source, Mother Earth, whatever it is, and understand that there's a piece of the infinite in each of us. And we spend that last third month of the first 3 months of the program really emboldening that spark inside and growing it and making it feel like, I know the answer. I have the tools inside of me. I can listen to my inner voice, and really growing that inner voice from like a soul-based place, and also healing relationship with higher power, God, whomever it is. A lot of times that's easier access than doing some of the deep, deep personal work if we do it more externally. My program is 6 months. So the second 3 months, if a person resigns, it's about dreaming big. So whether it's a dream you had before that you put on the side, or it's a dream that's come up in this foundational work, and we put the tools into place and dream and do and actually put it into action together. And I'm on the sidelines cheering and victory dancing alongside my client, and really showing them and making them feel like they are the CEO. They know what they want of their life. They have all the answers inside. And my goal at the end of that 6-month period is that they walk away, whenever they look for mental health help or any help in general, it's from a place of want. It's never from a place of need anymore. It's never from a place of, I don't know, I just need someone to fix me. It's, okay, I see I'm having this issue, so I need this help. So that is my goal. That's my biggest aim. That's my biggest victory, is that when my clients walk away saying, wow, like I'm so much further along, I'm dreaming big, I know what I want, and I know where to look if I start to struggle.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. Just your entire story and what led you to do this. Firstly, how can people get hold of you, Naomi? What is the best way? You have a website, via social media?
So I have an Instagram account, and also Facebook if you're not on both platforms. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Naomi Lerman VDC, Victory Dance Coaching. Also, I have an email address, victorydancecoaching@gmail.com. And those are probably the two best ways to reach out to me.
The best two ways to reach you. Okay, fascinating, fascinating. Moving forward, and let's end off with that. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I guess you thought about that.
So I am a big dreamer, as you can tell. So the next stage of, right now I work only one-on-one. It's really important to me to create foundation and safety with my clients, but my goal is to have enough graduates to create a group program where we're coaching each other. And it's sort of that next stage, that next level up. And there's definitely that piece and that part of my dreaming big. The other piece is, I see this as a movement. I see this as, we can heal from trauma joyfully. We don't need to look at the perpetrator. We don't need to release bad energy. We need to focus on the joy and the magic and the beauty in our life and grow that. And so I dream of selling out the Keisaria Amphitheater, and using my skills as a singer and a dancer and an actress, and creating, I don't know if people on here know Coldplay, but like a whole performance for women only, where we're healing all together through music and dance and movement and joy and power and magic. And I see, like, the sunset in Keisaria, and we're standing there, and I see it, and from there we'll see what happens. But those are sort of my two big goals right now with my business and the future of what I want to do.
Wow, amazing. And you should definitely connect with our friend Toby, who is here and who is listening, who
Good
is
call.
also in the performance world. I'm assuming you do know each other and that you've connected,
Yeah.
but if you haven't, you should definitely connect. Wow, that was super, super inspiring. Really, really inspiring. Just your entire story, and also just how you led into this all. And when you said and you pinpointed about that at one stage you were going to do just something more in general and other coaching, and then you realized that this is what you'd experienced and this is how you can help your clients. This is what I call, and we call in business terms, your USP, your unique selling proposition, what makes you different and that you've been through and that you can help your clients. So that's something that's definitely very wise, and something that you could help in a very unique way. Wow, Naomi, thank you so much. I found this super inspiring. I'm sure that our guests did too. whether you were joining live or whether you're listening to the replay. For those of you that are new to this, by the way, the Monday Motivation Spotlight was founded, many of you do know this, but I will repeat it, was founded as a result of October 7th and wanting to inspire and motivate us, and also giving exposure to many businesses who were taking a hit at the time, businesses like yourself. We didn't actually talk about whether October 7th actually, if it impacted anything with you and your clients. Maybe you do just want to add a sentence about it, if that's something that is relevant. Did that impact your work and anything that you were doing?
So I actually started my business after October 7th. October 7th was part of my inspiration, and my push to do it, and my drive, because I still have not found a way into helping the sexual trauma survivors of October 7th, but I saw everything that happened and I was like, I know I can help these people more. And it really pushed me and inspired me in order to start my coaching practice.
Wow. Okay. Very, very interesting. Well, thank you again. Thank you again, Naomi, for a very inspiring story, for sharing your story with us. And hopefully this will help many other women that have experienced either that or something similar, any other kind of trauma, that feel that they are suitable to join your kind of program. There's definitely a very special need for that. So thank you. Thank you to all of you for joining us, whether it's live, as I said, or watching the replay, for listening to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. I'm Lesley Kaplan, every single Monday from 9 to 9:30 a.m. Israel time, whether it gels with your time zone or not. Thanks again to our sponsors, to Egan & Cohen Insurance and to Lali's Flower Boutique in Jerusalem. And if you're watching the replay, or if you're even joining us live, please do go to my Spotify or my YouTube channels, like it, subscribe to it, make a comment if you enjoy it. That way it gives exposure to more people. And we've had many, many fascinating speakers and spotlights over the almost 2 years that we've been doing this, coming up, yes, to almost 2 years. And thank you again. So have a safe day. Am Yisrael Chai. May we only hear good news, safe news, and see you next week. Thank you again, Naomi. See you next week on the Monday Motivation Spotlight. Bye-bye.